Hi and welcome back to another episode of BRF Shorts On Us. We have a really fun word today.
We do, yeah.
Our word today is bling.
Bling.
I don't even know why we picked this word. I think we just picked this word because somebody decided that they like it. I wonder who. And then let's just roll with it.
To be fair to both of us, the recordings are usually in the middle of the day for you, which is brain fog time, and early in the morning for me, which is also brain fog time. So,
It could just be that's
hence proved.
Yeah, now you know what our selection process is like and why we come up with the words that we do.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to jump in with the origin of the word bling. Now, the first thing that honestly came to my head when we came up with this word, also when it comes to a lot of slang words that have kind of become like mainstream words now, it's always interesting to just understand how did it even start in the first place, you know? And obviously, it's fairly apparent to everyone that bling is possibly not a word that's been around for a long time. At least not in the formal sense of it. Well, not like, it's not like
I
15th
thought the ancient
century.
Greeks were using it.
Yeah, it could be actually.
Our good friend Aeneas from
I was trying to come up with some kind of like antiquity-based language phrase. No, so apparently, after it died out in use, after ancient Greek culture slowly died out as well, bling apparently came back in use in modern terms in a rap song called Nightmare in 1987 by Dana Dane. And at the time, bling was simply, it was an idiophonic mimicking of a sound. So, when you saw cartoons and you saw a light bulb go off, or, one of the cartoon characters saw a diamond and their eyes would just go bling and there'd be a ting and, and that was basically what it was. So when when the rap song used the word bling, it was basically used in that context.
Oh, like onomatopoeic.
Very well done, yeah. And then as hip-hop itself continued to grow, so did the use of the word in reference to valuable, metallic or blingy material. But the word bling apparently came to full popularization by 1999. There was a rap song called Bling Bling, which featured Lil Wayne and BG. And the lyrics were, "Every time I come around your city, bling bling. Pinky ring worth about 50, bling bling. Every time I buy a new ride, bling bling. Lorenzo's on Yokohama tires, bling bling." And this song held out on the Billboard Top 100 for a fair amount of time, and over a period of time just took root in modern English vernacular. So
I like how he used it as a punctuation. Bling bling.
Yeah.
I mean, it was pretty cool, bling
it's all
bling.
about the rhythm. In 2003, bling bling was officially added to the Oxford English Dictionary, and the Webster Dictionary adopted it in 2006. And so then it went from mere hip-hop slang to like this immortalized term that just immediately evokes images of valuable jewels and like shiny things in everyone's head.
Diamond dollar signs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm familiar.
And just to wrap this up, keeping in the sentiment of, material wealth, BG said in an interview in response to the popularization of the term that bling bling will never be forgotten. So it's like, I will never be forgotten. Noble. But then he also just goes on to add, saying, I just wish I'd trademarked it so that I'd never have to work again. Which is a sentiment I resonate with very strongly.
You have a catchphrase that you want to trademark?
I want anything that makes me not work for the rest of my life.
Okay, we'll come up with one for you. We'll try and trademark it. I can't guarantee wealth beyond imagination, but I can guarantee the trademark. So
Okay. I'm not sure that's what I want though.
Okay.
You got my motivations a bit wrong.
I'm using bling bling now as just random sort of exclamation.
Yeah, it's punctuation.
So, from the originators of bling to the original King of Bling. So, you've heard of the Nizams of Hyderabad. So
well, yes, I have, and not a turn I was expecting this episode to take.
Because I was thinking about this. Bling is associated with rappers, and rappers are mostly men. Men wearing jewelry. I was just like, but men in India, or men in Maharajas in India, more like, have done it for centuries, including very unique pieces like turban jewelry and jewelry on their knives, and so it was it was just part of the normal for them. So I found one particular gentleman, the 7th Nizam of Hyderabad. Now the Nizams, they were basically the administrator of the realm being the Mughal dynasty in the Deccan. So eventually they became a royal family. So Nizam is shortened from Nizam ul Mulk, which means the administrator of the realm, and the realm is the Mughal dynasty. The Nizam was the viceroy of the Mughal emperor in the Deccan. The kingdom of Hyderabad at the time spread over more than just the city of Hyderabad as we know it right now. It was huge. It was, it included parts of Maharashtra, Karnataka. So it was a sizable amount of land that he controlled. And guess what else was in this piece of land, this tiny piece of land? The famous mines of Golconda. If for people who don't know, they're immensely rich diamond mines in the south of India. And this was all under the power of the Nizam. And this made him one of the wealthiest men in the world. And I mean in the world. So, yeah. So the state, in fact, I'm just going to go into a little bit about how, wealthy the state was and how much power it commanded. The state had its own currency called the Hyderabadi rupee, which was in circulation till 1951. I did not know this. I mean, I know that they were annexed in about 1948. I did not know that they had, their own currency. And this 7th Nizam, his name was Nizam Mir Osman Ali Khan. Usually what I'd do is I'd shorten it to Aussie or something like that, but I feel like this man requires a bit of respect. So I'm just going to call him the 7th Nizam, if that's okay. So he amassed wealth at such a quick rate, it made him one of the richest men in the 20th century, and possibly later on, past his death, prior to his attaining the Nizamhood. He was just all-round rich. Some of the people that were ahead of him on the
rich scale,
on the list, on this list, where you don't have to think about anything, you don't have to worry about anything really, were J.D. Rockefeller, the unfortunately named Jacob Fugger, and Andrew Carnegie, all basically magnates. They were just rich beyond imagination. They became rich through the Industrial Revolution. For instance, Andrew Carnegie was a steel magnate. So that sets the tone for how really rich this man was. He was 4th on this list. I wanted to talk about his particular collection of bling. So it's called the Jewels of Nizam collection, and it has a really interesting history. So once the Nizam had passed away in the late 1960s, 1967, he had set up a trust for all his treasury, because there were diamonds that were uncut, diamonds that were set into jewelry, just insane amounts of wealth. And so he set up a trust. Also, quick note, any fabulous and particularly interesting gems that came out of the Golconda mine, it was practiced to offer them first to the Nizam if he wanted them, and then be put on the market.
Oh, wow.
So whatever he had,
it wasn't.
Nizamhood
is quite a
I'd go for it.
I'd go for it too.
Are you rethinking your trademarking now?
Yeah, I am.
Thinking you want to be a Nizam?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've changed my life goal.
Yeah, that's fine. That's how important the jewels in this collection are. They were the best of the best. So, in 1995, the Indian government bought the jewels for about $65 to $70 million, which is about 218 crore rupees. And this was obviously almost 30 years after the death of the last Nizam. And the story behind this is also very interesting. The trust had set up an auction to sell the family jewels, so to speak. And at the last minute, the Attorney General of India walks into the auction and says, you need to stop this auction. These are prized possessions of the Indian, of Indian heritage and of the Indian government. They cannot be sold to an outside buyer. And the judge was like, the judge of the auction was like, well, we're going to, hold off until 3 p.m. If you can come back before then with an injunction, cool beans. Guess what the AG did? He came back with an injunction, and the jewels were kept. For the first time, the Indian law system was quick. But yeah, they did do them a bit dirty, because the original value ascertained by Sotheby's was about way more than that. Let's just say like $350 million was what it was actually quoted at, and they actually got 65 to 70 million. So yeah, the Indian government, I guess by virtue of just being holders of the history of India, got it at a
discount.
steal. bargain. So in this collection, there's 173 stunning pieces of jewelry. And they're also a really important part of history because they show the different craftsmanship as time progressed. So there is the very Mughal type of, jewelry work, but there's also the very Deccani type of jewelry work, which there's such different types of craftsmanship that it charts a history of, India, of the Mughal dynasty and India. So there are 173 stunning pieces, from turban ornaments, necklaces, earrings, armbands, belts, cufflinks, buttons, rings, arm and feet ornaments, and more.
Wow.
And this is in the collection purchased by the government. It was on display at the Salarjung Museum for a while, but I think right now it's in the Reserve Bank of India, in the deepest, darkest vault there is. And, they go back to the 16th century, some of these. So the best, according to me, the best piece in this is the Jacob diamond. Now, you know how we famously, don't have the Kohinoor diamond anymore.
Yeah.
It is the war cry of so many Indians. Return the Kohinoor diamond. They don't belong in the crown jewels of the British monarchy. But, what will be, will be. So the Jacob diamond, we've got that one. Okay. It's called the Imperial or Victoria diamond. It's a colorless Golconda diamond, ranked as the 5th biggest polished diamond in the world. And guess where the 7th Nizam, found it? He found it in the toe of one of his father's shoes after his father had passed away.
Why? Was it kept there for safekeeping?
Who knows? But it was there. And guess what he used it as? He used it as a paperweight for a long time before the actual value was realized.
Because he didn't know how valuable it was, or because he was just that rich that he didn't care?
I think he just saw too many diamonds every day. And when you see something all day, every day,
it's
just
like a nice paperweight.
Yeah, it's just slightly bigger than the one I have on my, turban, so it's fine. So the diamond weighs 184.75 carats, wow, which is, let's just say, it's big, effing huge. And it's also with the other jewels in the Reserve Bank of India. So yeah, I don't think any rapper would compare to the kind of jewelry that this man wore and possessed. And
just had it around his house as like decorative items.
Yeah. Just interesting, all around interesting, King of Bling, Nizam.
Yeah. So, moving from people who possessed all of this bling to a group of kids who decided that they didn't have it and wanted it for themselves.
Okay, is this a childhood story, Ragini?
No, I think it's slightly prophetic. So, in 2008 and 2009, there was a group of teenagers who decided that they would burgle a bunch of Hollywood celebrities. So, they would basically just walk into celebrity homes and pick up whatever they wanted. They were commonly called the burglar bunch or the bling ring. And for a year, celebrities in Los Angeles were just terrified of becoming the next victim. So, there are a bunch of these kids, there were about 5 of them who were involved in this little blingy heist. But the first victim of the burglaries was Paris Hilton, who was robbed in 2008. Now, two of these kids decided that, for some reason, said that, we'll just go and rob her house because they felt like she would leave her door unlocked. Now, just as a bit of history, these guys were they'd gotten into sort of small robberies. They would check cars that were unlocked, walk in, pick out whatever they wanted, and then go spend the money on Rodeo Drive. So they generally had a bit of a
burglary streak.
Yeah, I was trying to find a clever way of saying that, but apparently there is none. So anyway, so they were getting bolder and bolder and decided, why not? Let's just give Paris Hilton's home a shot. And when they got in there, they found the spare key under her front door. Under the welcome rug or the front door, but the door was unlocked. So they walked in and, they sort of started searching through her clothes, and they took a little bit of stuff, but they kind of didn't take too much because they didn't want to make the burglary less obvious. And, and then sort of Paris Hilton's home became it was like their joint. They would just go, they robbed it at least 4 more times. She didn't realize that anything had gone missing till about $2 million in money.
Wow.
Designer clothing and jewelry actually went
missing. That's rich.
Yeah. And they got so used to burglarizing her house that one of the teenagers teenagers just added her spare key to her own keychain so she could just enter.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's amazing, right? And then in February 2009, the night of the Academy Awards, they burglarized the home of reality star Audrina Partridge and stole 43,000 of her property. Now, unlike Paris Hilton, she realized almost immediately that this had happened, and so she posted footage from her security camera on her own website, but the footage failed to lead to any arrests. So when that happened, the group was like, super, this is great. So they continued their spree of celebrity burglaries.
Oh, yeah. I'm such a loser. I would have been the opposite. I would have been like, hey guys, maybe we should stop. Not like...
But you would have started it and done those first 2-3 burglaries and then...
Yeah.
Okay. So they also burglarized the home of Rachel Bilson several times in 2009. And they took nearly $300,000 worth of stolen goods from her. And by this time, they reached the point of like normalcy about these things. They were so chill about it that there was one time when in the middle of the burglary, she even felt comfortable enough to use her bathroom during one of the heists. And
you know what? I think that's worse. You can steal all you like, but if you take a dump in my loo, no, I'm sorry. You've crossed a line.
Yeah, but it's also like they were probably sitting there watching some TV, chilling. And it was like no big deal. And then in July 2009, they entered the home of Orlando Bloom, and he was dating Miranda Kerr at the time, so they were sharing a house. And this is the only burglary that actually caught one of them on security footage. And she claims, the one of the teenager who was caught on camera, claims that this was the only burglary that she was actually present for. And the only reason she came was because she was high.
That was me. That's me.
She didn't know that the burglary was happening. So she just walked in.
I was just here. This is the first time I was here. Gets caught on security camera.
And she was so high that she didn't know that this burglary was actually going on. The group stole $500,000 in terms of including a collection of Rolex watches and other things that they picked up from there. And then in 2009 August, they burglarized the home of Brian Austin Green, who was a cast member on Beverly Hills, and his then girlfriend Megan Fox. Again, they took a bunch of stuff, including this time a semi-automatic handgun. So they were and then after that they decided to go and burglarize Lindsay Lohan's home, who according to them was one of their biggest conquests, and because she was one of the teenagers' ultimate fashion icon. And then, so they stole a bunch of stuff from her, but then Lohan released security footage to media outlets, and that led to a bunch of tips, and that's how these guys finally got caught. In the meantime, they'd also made plans to burglarize homes of Hilary Duff, Zac Efron, Miley Cyrus, a bunch of other people, but thankfully or unthankfully for them, they were arrested before any of this could really happen. Eventually, they were all arrested and convicted and put into jail for a certain amount of time. But in June 2013, Sofia Coppola made a film about them called The Bling Ring, and it was based on an article in the New York Times called The Suspects Wore Louboutins, which eventually became a book. And then, now what happened as a result of this is that one of the detectives on the case, he was offered a small role in the film, and he was paid for this role. And the minute that happened, it sort of weakened the case against these guys, and so they actually got off much lighter sentences than they would have. And now they're all you have to just see their mugshots and stuff. They're super glamorous mugshots even. But these kids were basically just a bunch of I can't get it, because I think in some way it's a crime for fashion. So I think that's where the inspiration and the motivation for this came from.
So you're saying it's okay?
I'm saying it's happened, Make what you want.
I do have to say though, I randomly came across a video of one of these girls in the Bling Ring who was also on a reality show at the time.
Yeah, she's the most famous of the five.
Yeah, and she's apparently turned her life around. She was talking about how she was, just to show the other side of things, where she had apparently gone through some horrific abuse when she was younger, and she had started doing hard drugs like heroin and crack and things like that, much early in her teens. And she just talked about how she's turned her life around and she has a kid now. And so hopefully they've all the kids in the Bling Ring have learned something from it.
Yeah, and it's a great story, so
And with that, we come to this
on a
very cheerful note. We come to the end of this short. We hope you enjoyed it. And as always, do remember to like, share, subscribe. We're also on YouTube if you want to go have a look at some of our other episodes. That will be under ArtNowThus. So just look for ArtNowThus on YouTube and you will find us. Also, we're on Instagram at Barely Research Facts. Follow us on there. We put up some really interesting facts during the week and some extra information that doesn't get onto the podcast.
We will see you next time with a full length episode.
See you guys.
Bye.